It's a beautiful day in our neighborhood, a neighborly day for a beauty hood. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Hi, sixth grade science students. I'd like to meet my neighbor and friend, Miss Farmer Lori.
Hi everybody.
And she works for Forgotten Harvest. Since we've been learning about plants and pollination, I thought we could take a mini tour of her farm and she could tell us a little bit about the organization Forgotten Harvest.
That's awesome. So if you don't know, Forgotten Harvest is a food rescue organization. And that means that we go out to grocery stores and take the food that they are taking off their shelves because they have fresh produce to put out. They put that aside for us and we go in and we rescue that food so it doesn't end up in the landfill. So we were started 30 years ago this year by a lady named Nancy Fishman. And Nancy had a personal need for food assistance. So she made a promise to herself that if she got help, she would help others. So she started going around with her Jeep and collecting food donations where she could. And she did that for a little while. And then somebody donated a box truck to her, so she was able to collect more food and feed more people. Now fast forward to 30 years, Forgotten Harvest now has 30 trucks that do that job for us. And we cover about 2,000 square miles every day in Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb counties. And then we work with 250 different agencies in those counties to get that food out to those folks. When I say agency, I'm talking about a food pantry, soup kitchen, shelters, children's homes, things like that, churches, where they feed the hungry. So we started this farm about 7 years ago out here, and it's 100 acres. The farm property itself is about 1,500 acres, but Forgotten Harvest only farms 100 of that. And we have to stay pretty close to the barnyard area because there's one well on that 1,500 acres. So anything that we're going to irrigate has to remain pretty close. We use garden hose and fireman's hose to get water out to our crops. And we use about 22 miles of hose to get that job done, to get the water out there.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And now we've been studying parts of plants, plant growth, and also pollination. Does Forgotten Harvest worry about pollination on their farm?
We absolutely do. So we have a few different beehives on the farm, and then every summer we get donated hives of bumblebees that we actually put out in the field to help pollinate those plants.
All right, can we take a look at those?
We sure can.
All right, let's go see.
So we handed over the bees to Joe, our farm assistant, who also has bees at home, right? So he knows what he's doing. But
Wow, Farmer Lori, there's so much to see here on the farm. What?
Yes.
Are these baby potatoes for
these
sale?
are not for sale.
Oh.
These are actually seed potatoes. This is actually what we plant in the ground.
But these aren't actual seeds, right?
They're not actual seeds, they're actually potatoes. You could probably eat them, it would just take you a lot to make a meal. But these are treated with fertilizer and things like that, so you wouldn't want to eat these seed potatoes. But these we actually plant in the ground, and this will be a beautiful field of potato plants with beautiful white flowers on them. And then we go through and we kill the plants when we're getting ready to harvest, and then we dig up the potatoes.
Ah, how many potatoes do you get from one seed potato?
Well, it depends on how well your season is going with sun and rain, amount of water. But generally you can get about 10 to 12 potatoes per seed potato.
10 to 12 potatoes from this little guy. Pretty cool. They do not go through the pollination like our others. We talked about seeded plants that pollinate, and this is a non-seed plant. Even though we call it a potato seed, it just means it's the start. It's really cool.
Thanks.
All right, Farmer Lori, tell us about this spot on the farm.
Okay, this is our high tunnel greenhouse. This greenhouse was actually donated by an Eagle Scout. He raised $17,000 to build us this tunnel. And this year for the summer, we're gonna have okra in here. And okra, these yellow leaves that you see are fine. Those are the first leaves that appear on the seedling. And we're just getting ready we're gonna lay plastic and irrigation so that we can just turn the water on and they can get water every time. They like it really nice and hot in here. And so we keep the temperature about 85 degrees. At 85 degrees, the sides automatically roll out. Give them a little cross breeze. That ventilation is good for the plants too. So we're waiting for some plastic to lay down to put our rows in, and then all of these plants will be inside the greenhouse all summer.
Yum, fried okra.
Fried
Sounds
okra.
good.
I don't know anybody that uses it any other way. And
So a huge portion of growing things is clearly pollination. So tell us, Farmer Lori, how does Forgotten Harvest pollinate?
Well, we have these honeybees here. We have 4 different hives around the farm. And then, like I said, we get the bumblebees donated. But these 2 hives, lovingly called Go Blue and Go Green, are donated to us. We have a Eagle Scout that donated our greenhouse to us. And he also does the bees. So this year he went off to college, and his mom has been doing the bees for us. So we rely on the bees heavily to do our pollination, obviously. Without the bees, things don't grow like they should. So these bees they didn't survive over the winter, so we had to repopulate the hives this season, and they were just done about maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they're doing great.
Now, will you get honey from the hives as well?
We do. Yes,
Okay.
we do. And they donate, the Eagle Scouts, the Eagle Scout donates the honey to us. We sell the honey to our volunteers that come to work on the farm, and all of that money goes right back to the farm.
That's awesome. Now, how quickly, so you say you set these hives up about 4 weeks ago, how quickly will it be before honey is ready?
Well, we usually do it once a year, so it'll be later in the season. It depends on how well they populate their hive. So when you first populate a hive, you have to keep your queen in a controlled area. She's in a little cage. They put a little marshmallow at the end, and she eats her way out over a couple of days. And if she doesn't do that, then the worker bees come and help her get out. Once the queen is out, they start repopulating right away. So it just depends on how big the hives grow. We can put these supers on top and give them more space for honey. You got to make sure that you're not getting any rodents in there, or mites is a big thing with bees. So then that contaminates your honey. But you can spin the honey down and filter all that bad stuff out.
Now, just to clarify for us, when you spin down honey, you're not harming the bees, right?
No, the bees are not involved with that at all. We go in and we take the racks of honey out.
Just like the racks in the classroom.
Yep, the bees stay in the hive. We put, by the end of the season, we'll probably be 4 or 5 supers high on this. And we take, we keep replenishing those, but they need some of the honey to eat. And so we keep some of the honey in there over the winter. We put some sugar water in with them over the winter, and then we insulate so that we try to keep them from getting cold. And every year it seems like, it either gets too cold, or we get an infestation of something that causes the bees not to survive. Sometimes they get so stressed out too, and they keep warm by huddling together and flapping their wings, and even inside the hive. So that's what creates their warmth. So if you get some lazy bees, don't have enough warmth, then that's the detriment of the whole hive.
One last question for our 6th graders. What is your job here at the farm?
My job at the farm is I'm the volunteer coordinator at the farm. So every season we get about 3,000 volunteers that come out here every day and help us in general farm maintenance, helps us to do our planting of our plants, and absolutely helps us harvest, which is the most fun part. And we get about 1 million pounds of food out of this farm every year.
Wow.
That goes down to our warehouse. When it leaves here, it goes down to our warehouse in Oak Park, and then it's divided up between those agencies. Last year, Forgotten Harvest rescued about 45 million pounds of food.
Wow.
So it's quite a big operation, and we rely heavily on volunteers. So you have to be 12 to come out and volunteer.
Okay.
And anybody can come out.
So we know that your social emotional learning is just as important as your academic learning. What a great way to combine the two. If you wanted to volunteer in the future for something like Forgotten Harvest, you could take your knowledge of plants, your knowledge of bee pollination, and help someone out and feel good for yourself. Thank you so much,
You're
Farmer
very
Lori,
welcome.
for sharing with us.
Anytime.
And if we weren't in this time, I'd hug you, but
I know.
we'll
Yep.
skip that for now.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.